Man, if you've ever felt the rumble of a real machine, a vehicle that laughs at mud, spits at rocks, and just keeps going when the world says stop, then buckle up. Because I am about to take you on a ride through 8 old Land Rovers that make modern rigs look like they remade of tinfoil. There's one in this lineup so tough. It's been to hell and back literally, and I'm saving that story for the end, so don't you dare click away. Welcome to Garticler, the channel where we don't just talk cars, we live them, breathe them, and occasionally curse them when they leave us stranded. I'm your host, a guy who's been elbow deep in grease since I could hold a wrench. And today we're diving into the golden era of Land Rover, when these beasts were built like tanks and driven by folks who didn't need GPS to conquer the wild. These aren't just SUVs, they're legends that wrote the book on off-road grit. Let's roll. First up, the 1948 series. I picture this. Post-war Britain. Steels, rationed, and two brothers, Morris and Spencer Wilkes, sketch a boxy beast on a Welsh beach. They didn't just build a car. They built a lifeline for farmers, explorers, and armies. Aluminum body because steel was scarce, made it light, but tough as nails. That 1.6-liter engine, only 50 horses, but it could climb a cliff with a trailer full of sheep. Compare that to today's crossovers, which cry at a wet curb. The series I wasn't pretty, with its Spartan interior and canvas roof, but it was honest. It didn't pretend to be anything it wasn't. Fun fact, 70% of these are still out there. Somewhere, probably hauling hay or dodging bullets in a forgotten war zone. Now, let us jump to the Series 2 from 1958. This one's got a bit more polished, curvier lines. A 2.25-liter engine that could actually hit 80 miles per hour if you prayed hard enough. It was the first to really go global, tackling jungles in Africa and deserts in Australia. I heard a story once about a Series 2 that got buried in a sandstorm and the Sahara driver dug it out, fired it up, and drove 500 miles home. Try that with a modern SUV's fancy electronics. The Series 2 is like that friend who's always got your back, no matter how deep the mess. The Series 3, hitting the scene in 1971, took things up a notch. Same rugged soul, but with a plastic grille and headlights moved to the wings for better lighting. It was the most common of the series, with 440,000 built. Why? Because it was bulletproof. Farmers loved it, soldiers swore by it, and it could tow an airplane seriously. There's a 1950s clip of one dragging a plane like it's no big deal. Compared to today's Range Rovers, which need a software update to sneeze, the Series 3 just worked. No fuss, no drama. Then there's the 1970 Range Rover Classic. This wasn't just an rotor, it was a revolution. Coil springs, 4-wheel disc brakes, and a Buick-derived V8 with 127 horses made it feel like a luxury liner that could ford rivers. It was the first 4x4 to say, hey, you can be comfy and still conquer mountains. I knew a guy who took one across the Darien Gap, 100 miles of jungle hell where Roads T exists. He made it, covered in mud, with a grin wider than the Amazon. Modern Range Rovers. They're plush, sure, but they're more about heated seats than surviving apocalypse. Let's talk about the 1983 110. This was the Defender before it was called that. Longer wheelbase, built like a brick outhouse, and still rocking that gunny-wear vibe. It was the choice for overlanders who'd rather sleep in the dirt than a hotel. I read about a 110 that crossed the Simpson Desert in Australia's 1,700 dunes in a row. No roads, no mercy. The driver said it felt like wrestling a bear, but the bear won every round. Compare that to new Defenders, which are more tech than tough. The 110 didn't need a touchscreen to find its way. The 1990 Defender 90 is next. Short wheelbase, nimble as hell, and a favorite for off-road. That 3.9-liter V8 could wake the dead. And the permanent for WD meant you could crawl over boulders like a mountain goat. I knew a farmer who swore his 90 was better than any tractor plowed fields, hauled hay, and once pulled a stuck combine out of a bog. Today's Defenders are slick, but they've lost that raw, mechanical soul. The 90 was a tool, not a status symbol. Then there's the 1997 Defender, 94, the US market, last of its kind before regulations killed it. They swapped the 3.9 for a 4.0-liter V8, added a 4-speed auto, but kept the heart of a warrior. Only 182 horses. But it didn't matter, it could drag itself through anything. Problem was, new safety rules demanded airbags, and retrofitting this beast was like putting lipstick on a pig. Collectors snap these up now, because they're rare and real. Unlike modern SUVs that need a tow truck for a flat tire, this Defender just laughed at trouble. Finally, the hidden gem I teased at the start. The 1955 First Overland Expeditions series. This wasn't just a Land Rover. It was a legend that drove from London to Singapore. 6 guys, 2 Series I's. 12,000 miles across mountains, deserts, and rivers. One of those rigs forded a river so deep the driver was chest-high in water, steering through rapids like it was a Tuesday. They faced bandits, breakdowns, and roads that weren't roads. Both trucks made it, battered but unbroken. That's not just tough, that's immortal. You won't find a story like that with any new SUV, no matter how many cameras it's got. So, why do these old Land Rovers still haunt us? Because they were built when cars had to survive, not just shine. They didn't have 17 sensors to tell you the ground was uneven, they just powered through. Today's SUVs, even the fancy new ones, lean on tech to make up for a lack of grit. These old Rovers, they were grit. They carried armies, saved farmers, and took explorers where no one else dared go. And yeah, they had issues, leaky seals, electrical gremlins, but you fixed them with a wrench and a beer, not a laptop. As we cruise to the end, here's the big question. Have we lost something in this rush for shiny, connected cars? These Land Rovers weren't just vehicles. They were partners in adventure, built to take a beating and keep going. Next time you're stuck in traffic in some overpriced crossover, ask yourself, could it survive the Darien Gap? Or would it just flash a warning light and call it quits? Hit that subscribe button if you're with me, and let's keep the spirit of these beasts alive. What's your favorite old school ride? Drop it in the comments, and maybe we'll take it for a spin next time. Until then, keep the rubber side down and the passion burning.